What's up, YouTube? And today you're here with me, Shire. And yes, I am a student. But you know what that means? I'll understand right where you are. And I got that. So the question we're answering today is, what are real numbers? Real numbers are numbers that we normally use. In other words, they're numbers that we use every day or in everyday scenarios. Real numbers are real because they're not imaginary, which is a different set of numbers that we can get to in another video. There are 5 different types of real numbers, and they each have different properties to what makes them a real number. So the real numbers we're going to be talking about, which are, the ones we're about to be learning about, are irrational numbers, rational numbers, integers, whole numbers, natural numbers, also known as counting numbers. So let's break it down. I want you to ask yourself, what are irrational numbers? And honestly, since you're on this video, you may not know what it is. So irrational numbers are numbers that do not have a perfect square root. To know a number does not have a perfect square root, it will give you a non-terminating decimal, which we can deepen into in another video, like I said. But for examples here, it will be like pi, which is a continuing decimal that never ends. It will never perfectly stop. Or just another quick example would be the square root of 3, because nothing times itself is 3. The next question I want you to ask yourself is, what are rational numbers? Rational numbers are numbers that are fractions, terminating decimals, which are decimals that end, or repeating decimals, which are decimals that repeat itself. I will be trying to give you time to write this down if you want, or to really process what I'm saying. So times that I'm not talking, those are the times that will be the best for you to write them down. But back to this. For example, a rational number could be 6.3 repeating, which would be 6.33333 never ending. When a decimal has a line over the top, that's how you know it's repeating. When you see something like that, pi is not a repeating decimal, but it is a decimal that has multiple numbers over and over again. That would not qualify for a rational number. As for a fraction that would qualify as a rational number, would be 3/6. That can be simplified to just 2. So it does not have to be a fraction that can't be simplified. Any fraction could be a rational number, but not all fractions need to be simplified first. Okay, you're doing great so far. So the next question I want you to ask is, what are integers? I feel like integers have the most wide open spot for numbers. And it's a very simple definition. It's any number that's on the number line, and that's after 0, before 0, any number. For example, let's draw out a number line. Let's do just simple numbers. And you always want to have your 0, in this case, in the middle, or in between the numbers that you're listing down. So I start off with my 0, and I go up to and behind 2. Now, like I said, these numbers can go as low as they want. So you need these 3 dots, which I'm sure most of you have seen before. But did you know they actually have a name? It's called an ellipsis, which means just continuing. It won't stop. It's no stop to how high a number can go. Another important factor to when you're listing out numbers is something that you need is a bracket, which are these little squiggly lines that I'm drawing right now. That's how it is spelled if you would like to know. It also can be called a brace, which just means it's a group. In this case, it's a group of integers. Another self-asked question is, what are whole numbers? Whole numbers are any number including 0 and forward. I did make the mistake of putting a 1, but I do fix that later on in this video. Now let's get down to an example. So start by drawing out a number line again. Now with this number line, you do not want to put your 0 in the middle, which I do show what not to do here. But you want to start your number line with the 0, since it is 0 and forward. So you do the same process, you just put 0, 1, 2, 3, so forth, with your ellipsis at the end. Do not forget the ellipsis and the brackets. Now, as I write out the next question you want to be asking yourself, which is, what are natural numbers? This is here where I fixed the mistake I made at the whole numbers. This may be the best time to write down through your notes or to ask yourself some self questions and see how you're doing. So I feel like if you stayed this long, you're doing all right. You can always pause or ask me more questions in the comments if you need a little bit more. Follow me along. Don't forget to always subscribe. And so yeah, here's where I fixed the mistake. And now let's get back to the natural numbers. So now that we're back on the natural numbers, what are natural numbers? Natural numbers are any number including 1 and forward on the number line. So let's get to an example. Draw your number line, which always need arrows at the end. And this time I put the ellipsis in the brackets first, so you don't want to forget those. Now, when you start off this number line, you started with 1 and above only. So 1, 2, 3, continue, and then put your ellipsis to wherever you want to end. Here's just another little moment to pause or go through things and write them down if you like. So now that we're done with our little write down break or whatever, the best thing about these is that every different type of real number has an abbreviation. And this is just a way I remember mine easiest way. Natural is just the letter N, so I highlight the N. Whole is just the
W, so I do the W.
Now with integers, it is with an S, but I put it with a Z because that's what integer stands for. So I just changed that S to a little Z. Now with rational, I really don't have a way of just doing that one. But if you think about it, real, rational, both have R. You should know that this one should be R, which is just crazy because it's just a Q. And a real is just a double R. It has a line, 2 lines. You see what I'm talking about. And sometimes it's just a squiggly little line instead of the straight line. Irrational is one of the easiest ones. So IR, or ear, whatever you want to call it, means not. So that's how you know it's not rational. Irrational cannot be rational. And the little abbreviation for irrational is just the I. So I highlight that as well. Here's time to copy that down. Now let's get into some more in-depth examples.
Okay, so I'm gonna start off by writing down 6 different numbers. I first was gonna do 5, but I ended up doing 6. And what I'm gonna do, I'm going to start drawing out circles. Now, as you'll see after I draw them, there'll be little circles with the different types of real numbers in them. And it's sort of like a Venn diagram. If you know how that works, that means if it's a part of this circle, it's also a part of the circles it's around. That will make more sense, like I'm saying. But for right now, just you can watch me write that down, and you can write it down with me. But I will give you time in between each number to separate it out, and then after that, I will reveal the answer and what you do to get the answer. Let's get to number 1, which is 8. Which categories does number 8 fit into? You have 15 seconds, and I will go back to the notes page for you to analyze if you get confused on something. Good luck. Hopefully that wasn't too difficult, but let's get to the answer. So the answer for number 1, which is 8, is that it is natural, whole, an integer, and rational. Okay, now number 2 is the square root of 5. If you don't know how to do square roots, in this case, that's alright because I will be giving you the answer to this one. We could go over square roots in a separate video if you like. The square root of 5 is 2.23606797775. Wow, that is a lot of numbers. But let's see if you can get that into a category. Here's your 15 seconds. Hope you do good. Okay, so the answer to number 2, which is the square root of 5, is irrational. And that is because it does have a lot of numbers after it, but it does not fit perfectly. It is not a perfect square root. Okay, now let's get to 3, which is 1 over 3. Good luck. Okay, so now with number 6, it's the square root of 8 over 20. And I know it looks confusing, but all they want you to do is the square root of 8 over the square root of 20, which I give you the answer to underneath. So try to put the number that I'm giving you, the fraction that I'm giving you, into one of the groups. Not necessarily the square root of 8 over 20, but this number that's shown on the screen.